Hello? Okay. Hello, and welcome back to a really hard watch with Kiwi. Today, presidential debate. Woo! Are we excited? So, America is once again, unfortunately, in the throes of election season, and our options are again terrible and have somehow gotten worse, even though it's the same two guys as last time. And they're debating again. Old man yells at old man style. Aren't we so thrilled about this? Conveniently for me, I did miss the first presidential debate because I was in the woods with no service, enjoying my peace. And now I am going to disrupt my own peace by watching the presidential debate now. I am not doing it alone. I have convinced my wonderful friend Arn to watch it with me, even though they have already seen it. Shout out to them for real. They're a real one for going through this. Yeah, you don't want to watch it either. But let's get right into this, shall we? Everybody say hello to my cat Calypso and to my lovely bell pepper friend Arn here. Arn, say hello.
What's up? I'm Arn. I'm a bell pepper. I'm not a real person.
No.
Don't try to Google me.
Don't try to Google me. You'll just get a bunch of pictures of fruits.
Yes.
Yes.
Which are apparently what a bell pepper is.
Correct.
It's a berry.
Berries. I did not know that they were berries. That is so interesting.
I didn't. It sounds like bullshit, quite frankly.
Well, you thought that they were vegetables, so.
Yeah, I've also made the argument before that they're a gourd. You remember that?
I don't. I guess I could kind of see that. Okay.
But anyway.
We're
here today to watch the debate.
Unfortunately.
And to think about, bad things.
Please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
He already looks like he doesn't know where he is.
Oh, yeah. No, he's just looking around, trying to see someone familiar.
Yeah.
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Boo, boo hiss, boo, boo.
Kiss on his lawn.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters
You can tell right away
consistently say
just how much
is
they hate
their
each
top
other.
concern,
Yeah.
the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president and what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled, many people were dying.
I'm sorry, but their faces, they look like they're both melting.
Yes. Trump, is trying to throw some snark just immediately, and Biden, just right away, you hear his voice sound like shit. And, yeah, he just doesn't look with it.
All he said was, it's not that serious, just inject a little bleach in your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. We're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for an insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. In a situation and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
I understood literally none of that.
The things he's saying are technically fact, but he's stringing them together in a way that just doesn't make any sense at all.
I just felt like I was listening to buzzword soup.
He was right. There was a bill that capped insulin costs at $35, not $15. But
so he was a little bit wrong.
Yeah, he was a little bit wrong, but also it just didn't make sense in context of the larger point, anyways.
No,
and that's something you see with him throughout the debate is he kind of hits on what he needs to, but it's among word soup. Yeah.
We had the greatest economy in the history of our country.
We had the greatest economy.
Have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID.
I don't feel like that's true.
What?
Other countries were copying us because our economy was so great?
No.
That's just a lie.
Yeah.
He just immediately the first thing out of his mouth is a lie.
By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good.
There were wars
But the
going
thing
on
we
during the Trump administration.
Excuse me? No wars. I feel like there were a couple.
There was also the time where he assassinated the leader of one of our most powerful enemies and almost started World War III.
Yeah, literally World War III was trending like every other month during his presidency. Not that that's gone away, but
Yeah.
Okay, sure, dude.
never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess.
Did
He
we
created
get out of
mandates
that?
It was a disaster for our country, but other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce-back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
That
you,
part's
President
true.
Biden.
That's I think the first
Well, it's
true
the
thing
greatest
he
economy in the
said.
world. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have any, this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump.
Imagine
I
he's
wanna
stuck
follow
with
up
the
if I
century.
can. You
Am I
want
allowed
to?
to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made the statement, the only thing...
In all fairness to China, other countries are also ripping us off. Let me be clear about that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I just can't tell what kind of relationship he wants to have with China. He's like love-hate with them.
This is an enemies to lovers Trump x China.
That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce-back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited...
You can't do
9%
that.
Inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months, and then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far
Okay, calling the Biden administration the worst administration in history is a fucking stretch.
Yeah.
Like, they're not great, but...
far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out
Afghanistan?
of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump.
Oh,
over the
that
last
was-
8
that was the
years,
most
under both of your
embarrassing day.
administrations, The national
Yeah.
debt soared to
On
record
January
highs.
6th.
And according to with the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the
The
taxes...
reason we got through COVID
corporate-
with a strong economy as we did is not because of tax cuts, it's because of the fucking stimmy checks.
Yeah.
That's literally what did it.
Yeah. What is bro yapping about? What?
More people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it.
That
Something
is
which-
such a icky point to make, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, you had more people die under your administration, so my administration was better. How about we try to have neither of you have a bunch of people die under your administration, not who had less?
Yeah.
That's wild. You led an insurrection against the Capitol, but whatever, man.
Biden is responsible for the lab leak in China, actually. He's the one who made COVID in a lab in China, and then he unleashed it on us.
The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership.
That has
They don't
nothing to
respect the
do.
United States
That has
anymore.
everything to
We're
do
like
with you, you orange peel man.
For real.
That's your fault.
a third world nation
What?
between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent.
Who weaponized their election? I feel like he's talking about himself.
Yeah.
I think that
No.
maybe might have been you with the whole fact that you tried to steal it.
And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
Let me just
We have
randomly
the
throw
largest
in
national
immigration
debt
here
of
because I
any
feel like
four-year
it.
period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happened?
1,000 trillionaires.
We have 1,000 trillionaires? There's not one. There's not one of those, actually.
It's like when George W. Bush was told that 3 Brazilian people were killed in a plane crash, and he said, "Oh my God, that's so many fucking people."
If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise
Either one.
$500
Either one. I don't
billion
feel like
billion
fact-checking
dollars, I
myself.
should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President.
Pause. The single worst fucking moment of the entire debate for him.
We
was-
finally beat Medicare.
Ugh.
What we were able to do with the COVID. We finally beat Medicare. Excuse me.
Just one. It doesn't make any fucking sense
I don't know what the hell he
as
just said.
as a sentence. 2 is the possible worst timing because he didn't get to clarify after that.
He
and
literally,
3,
we defeated Medicare. All right, you're done.
Yeah, it's his best fucking issue too. It's like,
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death. He was destroying Medicare because all of these people,
That was funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's right. He did. He beat it to death.
they're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These
Social
millions
Security
and
has been
millions of
long
people coming in,
destroyed.
they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe
He's
what
friends with
happened to the
Putin.
United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people.
They think
What we're
you're
doing for other
stupid.
countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President.
That. The audacity of the convicted felon to call Joe Biden a criminal is. This man is a criminal. I think this is a self-report, actually.
Yeah.
One of you has a mugshot, okay?
He tries to paint this whole thing about Biden, and it's just projection.
Yeah. I'm like, you are just talking about yourself here, man.
As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put three great Supreme Court justices on the court.
That's not
to
true.
vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted.
That's just
Now, 10
not
years
true.
ago, so now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different.
Joe Biden
Florida.
is actually making an appropriate face here of what, like, just absolute bewilderment at the utter nonsense that's coming out of this guy's mouth.
Yes, just wait till you see what nonsense he comes back with, though.
Oh, no.
Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions.
Fuck Reagan! If we want to talk about the worst administration, let's talk about Reagan.
Yeah.
God, I hate that guy. God, I hate that guy. All of this is Reagan's fault.
The Union Buster in chief.
We literally would not be sitting here watching this debate specifically if it was not for Reagan.
Yes.
Stupid ass mother. Ugh.
Exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart, but you have to get elected also. And
Not follow your heart when you're talking about if somebody can get an abortion after they have been raped or are a victim of incest.
Yeah.
Follow your heart?
It's crazy. And did you catch what he said after that, too?
No.
He said, but you have to get elected, so you have to be moderate. Like,
Oh, this guy.
not a political decision either. It is not. It's a matter of medical necessity.
because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth. If you
Nobody's
look at
doing
the
that!
former governor of- And the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. And
Who's
the
he?
idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in. They talk about that, but here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
So he was talking about a woman or a girl, I think 12 years old, named Laken Riley in Georgia, who was supposedly killed by an illegal immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
And Republicans have really tried to use that as an issue to highlight illegal immigration as a women's rights issue, supposedly. And Biden just kind of used their talking point in the middle of an abortion answer, which is just horrible.
Oh. Oh, no. Oh, no.
We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. Consider
Biden is literally also continuing to build the border wall, so I'm not sure what this argument is.
Yeah.
Because he's not letting them in either.
but they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly
Why
they
is he
didn't.
speaking
But
for
they
the
would have
founding
everybody
fathers who are
wanted it brought
fucking
back.
dead?
Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it.
I love how the only, like, legal scholar that he actually named was Ronald Reagan, the other actor president.
Yeah.
Arguably the only other president who has little to no knowledge about scholarly legal things. Because you became president after being an actor.
That's the Republican Party. Trump and Reagan.
Yippee.
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters.
This is
First
all
time
he
between a
had
woman and the
to
doctor.
hit on.
Second time
All
between
he
the
had to
doctor.
say. Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, he did not have to go into this whole thing about immigrants for some reason.
Yeah. And then here he said that abortion is divided into semesters.
The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision.
Okay, just
A doctor
stop
should be
talking
making
there.
those decisions.
Th-
That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
Take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth. Because
Literally-
some states, Democrat
Literally
laws,
nobody's
take it
doing
after
that.
birth.
And after birth, I think at that
Right.
point that's just nature, man.
Yeah.
I don't think any doctor is like, "Oh yeah, let me take this newborn and
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
period,
Roe v.
period,
Wade, you have
period."
late
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record
Don't let him
number
speak.
of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
What the heck did that last bit? What was he trying to say there?
I have no idea.
Oh, that's a good sign. You're like, I don't know, man. It beats me. Okay.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think that's what he said either. Look,
Wait, I forgot about. I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence, and I don't think he knows either. That's so funny. I'm sorry. I hate to say it, but Trump is kind of really funny sometimes.
He is. And then that's, I think, why as many people like him as they do.
He should have
Like-
just stuck to TV.
he decided to open up our border, open up our country
He
to
literally didn't,
people
though.
that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. We had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me
But
for
I won't say
president.
that. But he just
Brandon,
did.
just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it.
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed 3, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, killed 3
Oh, girl, what?
American soldiers.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous...
We don't have borders anymore, but every state is a border? That directly contradicts itself. That is quite literally a direct contradiction.
Yeah.
So do we have no borders or do we have 50?
It's both.
The answer is yes.
People are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. We're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like.
Biden doesn't want it to be civilized. You started a coup.
Because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse.
He doesn't like the military at all, yet he keeps sending billions and billions and billions of dollars to a foreign military, but he doesn't like the military.
Yeah. Biden is big military fan.
I would say so, yeah.
I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. And it's a very sad day.
He didn't answer the question at
Every single
all.
thing he said is a lie.
Oh my
Every
God.
single one. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his four-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up.
Why are
He
we-
put it in commercials.
Okay.
We notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think
This is an insane thing to be happening in a presidential debate. Calling each other suckers and losers on national television, and you guys are trying to be the president?
It's the dick measuring has just begun.
Just
It's
begun.
gonna get way worse.
Oh no!
that I
There's
was in
a
front of General.
there's a grand finale.
Jesus!
We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
What?
Four-star general.
He should apologize to me right now.
He made up the suckers and the losers. So you're right that Trump sounds like he has a little more life in him, but they both just sound like absolutely insane.
Let me be clear. I mean, in the most minute sense, that Trump has more sense in the way that he speaks.
Yeah.
He can just put together a sentence a little bit better, but the sentence
Yeah.
itself still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Biden is just doesn't have any sentences.
Trump is just better at vomiting words out.
Yes, but they're both essentially incoherent.
Your side was on your staff who said you said it. Period. That's number one.
He loves
And
that
number
word,
two,
period.
The idea
Period.
that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. American history.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine.
Oh, this
which
should be
is
interesting.
Now in its third year. Former President Trump.
That's been going on for 3 years?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh my god.
It's in its third year, but the 2-year anniversary was like earlier this year.
Okay, so it hasn't been 3 years, but it's in year 3.
Yeah.
That still feels like way too long.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They
What?
think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him.
That has nothing to
that
do
we've
with
ever had. They
anything.
can't stand him. So let's get that straight.
Also,
And they like me more than
they love him.
just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin,
Why do we want our president to be respected by Putin? I'm sorry. What? Who cares?
It's part of a much dumber point.
Oh, there's more?
He said if we're respected by Putin, that then Putin would have been too scared to invade Ukraine, which is just stupid talk.
he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are
This
dead right now, much more
guy!
than he did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in.
I don't think he
was
did
so
that.
bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why?
What? What?
Hmm.
Israel
He's gonna-
invaded?
The
By?
next thing he
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, in fact, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in.
President Trump,
I
as
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine.
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky
Never been anything like it yet. Let's look at what we're sending to Israel.
bro hasn't heard of the Lend-Lease Act of 1944.
He thinks he just fell out of a coconut tree.
He does not exist in the context of all in which he came from and what is before him.
Bro is not context pilled.
I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled.
How?
People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
How the fuck is he gonna do that if he's not even in office? Don't worry, I'm best friends with Putin. I'll settle this.
He's gonna rely solely on vibes.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's
So are
killed
you.
thousands and thousands of people.
Moving on to the Middle East. In October,
Oh, joy.
Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages.
It's gonna get so stupid.
Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis. in
Hundreds
Gaza.
of thousands.
President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire.
Hamas has tried to release the hostages like 9 times.
Yeah.
9 times.
With additional conditions.
Um.
The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas.
Categorically not true.
The only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way,
This is not a good thing.
We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so they're two different things.
That should not be a talking point when the majority of the country does not want to be helping Israel.
Yeah.
The majority of people, like normal people, want this to stop.
Except for our Zionist president. And
Ugh.
let's just fucking look at Trump's face at this point, too.
I hate both of them so much.
We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have
Hamas
to do
and
it.
bin Laden
And by
are not
way,
the
they've
same.
been greatly weakened, Hamas. Greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to...
Hamas only exists because Israel is an oppressive occupying state.
Yeah.
If you want Hamas to go away, then make Israel go away.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second.
Of course.
We have an ocean separating us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them as far as Israel and Hamas. Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let it.
What? Why did he make a correct point?
Don't know. I don't like it.
Why did he make a correct point? No, ew, ew!
He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him.
Okay. Okay, well that just doesn't...
He went the next day and said that Chuck Schumer is now a Palestinian too.
He went, yeah, let me make a correct point about how Israel is the one who wants the war to continue, and then immediately turn and then call the guy who's sending Israel money a Palestinian. What?
Because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President
What?
Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our...
You gonna stay in NATO? He's gonna pull out of NATO.
I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time? And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's
Thank you.
bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump.
They
I
just
wanna-
didn't address
you.
the question at all.
No.
They didn't even ask that question to Biden. They just went, these guys don't care about Palestine. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask you about January 6, 2021.
There we
After
go.
You rallied your supporters that day. Some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All
No.
Yeah, I'm sure we were really globally respected when your little maggots tried to stage a coup and overrun the Capitol building. I do not think we were respected on January 6th, my good orange sir.
Yeah. We also for sure did not have the lowest regulations ever.
No.
All over the world, we were respected.
No.
And then he
Stupid.
comes in, and
Wrong.
we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid.
We have been laughed at since you got elected in 2016.
Yes.
That's when the laughing started. Not with Biden. And the laughing got very much worse on January 6th.
The laughing
What
turned into
happened-
fear on January 6th.
Yeah, the laughing, the laughing, haha laughing turned to, oh, ha ha, ha, I'm in danger.
Where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80
You
seconds
literally
left. My
just
question
did
was,
that.
What do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down.
He encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America.
He did, in fact, do that.
He says he'll now forgive them for what they've done.
He did also do
They've
that.
been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no.
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the
What?
He's talking about the,
Black Lives Matter?
yeah, in 2020.
It's not the same thing at all.
He refers to the autonomous zone that was created in Seattle here in a second.
fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. They destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
I feel like historically that's not accurate. Republicans do a lot of things and don't go to jail.
Yeah.
That's kind of their whole thing, is doing things and not getting in trouble for it.
Yes. Richard Nixon's case in point.
That's literally your entire party.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who are convicted, deserves to be convicted.
Yeah, bro's acting like murder is the only crime. There are other crimes that you can commit.
I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every...
I get rid of the people asking questions. I just want these two to be stuck in a room yelling at each other with no guidance. I want to see what happens.
There should be a loudspeaker that says in, like, the TikTok voice every once in a while, like, abortion or immigration.
Yeah.
Subliminally influenced, but it should just be them yapping, yeah.
Just give them a one-word topic and then see what happens. I guarantee you they won't talk about the topic that they've been told to talk about.
Absolutely not.
But it'll be funny.
After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted.
At a very high level, brother, you have 34 of them. That's one of the highest levels you can get.
Yes.
What?
Also, no one fucking cares about Hunter.
Also, Hunter Biden is not running for president. So,
Yes.
moot point, you're just calling out a random citizen for being a felon. Newsflash, there's a lot of them. There's only one president ever who's a convicted felon. 34 times!
He's the orange penis.
But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo.
If any of those things that he just listed were a grounds for a president to be a convicted felon, then every single president would be a convicted felon.
Yes.
Everything he just said has happened under every president ever.
So he
We're
tried
not
to
gonna do
bring
any-
up the whole quid pro quo thing with Ukraine when that's the thing he got impeached for the first time.
Not the first time. I forgot. I forgot about that.
This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system.
You
that
have
was
34
rigged and disgusting.
felonies.
I did nothing wrong.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. Number three, how many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public? For doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about?
This is insane.
He said, "Fuck you, you fucking."
You want to talk about my son? You had sex with a porn star. How are these our options?
You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give your minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of.
That he did when he got convicted. He made money. I don't understand.
Fundraising is not a thing you talk about during a debate. It's about, like,
Right.
maybe a tweet about it.
Yeah, except for he's banned on Twitter.
Yeah, true.
He can't tweet about it. He's not allowed.
That's fair.
Imagine we get a guy who's a president who can't be on Twitter. Not that I think that Biden should be on Twitter because his tweets are aggravating, but at least he's allowed on the platform. At least he doesn't have to go to some weird right-wing,
His own website.
his own social media, which is just a vacuum of his supporters.
Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. Do you ever hear any presidents say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved in running for
You ever hear any president say Hitler had some good ideas? I can't believe that's a real quote.
first place after my son had died? I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And they asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? the people the ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say, Nazis coming out of fields, carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas, were fine people? And this is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
Both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said
Totally
100%
wiped out.
exoneration.
I
on
don't
this.
think
he
so,
just keeps
man.
it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate.
Another true point, but neither are you. So,
This presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country.
Wrong.
We shouldn't be.
Why did they leave in the commercial break? You know you can edit this out.
And he caused the inflation. He's blending inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of.
Does Trump think that inflation happens overnight?
Yes.
Brother, you started the inflation.
Yes.
It's just getting worse.
I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do was leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New Scam and all this money. that
Not
he
the
thrown out
Green New Scam. Oh, okay.
His big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black
Not
jobs
fucking
now.
this
And it
again.
could be
We find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the
good.
costs.
Yes, because that's what the American people want. That's what the minority communities want is more cops.
Yeah.
2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police,
What?
how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state.
Can you fuckers just answer the damn question that you're asked? Why are they allergic to answering questions?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we have it.
This doesn't
We
mean
have H2O.
anything.
I don't know
The
where the
Hertz
hell he's
is
been.
the wettest
The
we've ever
idea.
seen from the standpoint of water.
The wettest we've ever seen.
From the standpoint
Made
of
of
water.
water.
He hadn't done a damn thing for the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States.
I don't think climate change is a ripoff of the U.S.
Our fault.
We produce most of, or if we're not producing it here, we are responsible for the production of a lot of waste in other countries because we outsource most of our labor. Dude, the amount of cars that we have
Yeah.
is so bad.
There's an argument that the investment that we have to make to defeat climate change is just sinking money into a hole is fucking stupid
Yeah.
because billions and billions of dollars more will be lost if we allow things to continue at the rate that they are.
Not to mention we're just all gonna die.
Yeah.
I think it's worth maybe spending a little bit of money to not fucking die.
Didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones who was costing us money. Nobody else was paying.
We don't want to waste that money because China treats us horribly? That has fucking nothing to do with climate change, you...
What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, They want everybody. And look,
Take
I
a
have the
shot
biggest heart
every
in the
time
state, I
that Trump
guarantee you
brings
that.
up
And I want
immigrants.
to take care of people, but we're destroying
You
our
would
country.
die.
They're taking over our
Yeah.
schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
How can we do anything if we're not able to, the United States can't get its pollution under control? One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035,
I swear to God, I thought he was just about to hit the pen.
I
I was like, is he pulling out a vape on the stage? I really thought, and honestly, that wouldn't be that shocking.
would love to see that, honestly.
And by the way,
So every day, millions of Americans struggle.
And by the way,
By the way,
Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous.
I love that they're saying this as if both of them are not themselves seniors.
it's goofy.
They are older than 90% of Americans who have already retired.
They should both be in homes. Or just at home, at least.
Just not here. Anywhere but here, actually. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Trump belongs in prison.
He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
I don't
Thank you,
think
President
either
Biden.
of you do.
I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never
That's not that long. I've been in politics for 8 years. 4 of them you were a president. You don't have political experience.
Yeah, and the other 4 you were just whining about.
Yeah.
He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. About so many other things too.
I gotta hold up a mirror to this guy. He's literally just talking about himself.
The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social
Oh
Security.
my
They're
fucking
putting them onto
God!
Medicare, Medicaid.
Talk about
They're
something
putting them in our
else!
house.
By the way, when I said suckers and losers, he said he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15...
I beg to differ.
If Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession, and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's
Yep.
turn to the cost of child
Yes.
care, which, in your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good.
Do they ever talk about anything that they're supposed to talk about?
No, it's full chaos hours at this.
Just to go back. No! Stop talking about this. Answer the fucking question. This
Yeah.
is insane.
It's because they're
And if he
both
said that,
just
that's-
fundamentally haters.
And
They're
they,
just
yeah, and they hate
they-
each other more than anything.
But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him.
We've
The other
literally
thing is,
talked about this like 4
He doesn't
times
fire
now.
People. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put them there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody.
Why are we talking about firing people like it's a good thing to do? That's not a good thing to do.
He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show.
This is exhausting.
Bro said horror show.
You know what a horror show is? This is a horror show. What I'm watching right now. See, I feel like he just only knows how to run things business-wise. He's like, oh, it doesn't work, fire them. That's not how shit works in the government. You don't just fire people left and right.
It's not even how it works in business.
No.
At least for him, he has an awful business record.
Haven't like almost every single, if not every single business he's ever had gone bankrupt?
Yes.
Yeah, and yet you want to talk about how you firing people is such a good thing and how we should all be firing more people?
Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said it about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And
you want
I
to
don't
be a
think
dictator.
We just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is.
We already
He's the worst
don't.
in history by far.
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our catastrophe.
They are both living in delusion. We are the laughing stock of the world. Everybody is laughing at us.
No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact.
That's a fact about an opinion.
Just because multiple people agreed on it does not make it fact. Not to defend Trump, but that is an opinion. It's a professional opinion.
We have polling. We have other things that they rate him the worst. Because
Oh
what he's done
my
is so
God.
bad.
Answer
And they
the
rate me- I'll show
question.
you. I will show you. And they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
What?
What?
Hey, Macklemore, you want to go thrift shopping?
Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans.
Are we
that
going
both
to
of you have
discuss
made a
it
top
or not?
priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you,
Do they
the number...
do they actually answer a question for once, or are they just going to continue to hurl insults at each other for the next 20 minutes?
It's not happening.
What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up,
Oh my
we
God!
now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money
up.
from China. China's going to own us if you keep
Bro
allowing them
has a
to
hard
do what
on
they're
for
doing to
fucking
us as a
China.
country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country. The drugs pouring across the border it started to increase. We got
This
great
guy,
equipment.
he has 1 point. He has been talking about the same point for an hour and 20 minutes now.
He's a broken clock that's wrong every day.
He doesn't even have the hands anymore, so it's not even the thing where it's like a broken clock is right twice a day. It's just, he's useless.
We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy. And he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly
reporter.
as soon as I take office.
Doesn't even know
Before
his
I take
fucking name.
office, I said,
The one that he assumes is a
literally,
good guy.
As soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago. But Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it. every
He's
time.
just like
We
making
had 2
shit up.
cases.
He doesn't
We
know
paid
what
$6
he's
billion
talking
for
about.
5
President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term.
He's not gonna make it. He's not gonna make it.
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent.
Well,
Just look at the record.
neither
Look
of
what
you
I've
are very
done. I've
confident.
turned around. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America. For all our
Probably
problems
like
and
all of them.
opportunities.
I don't think anybody
We're the most
wants
progressive country
this.
in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us, all of our allies.
Everybody trusts us. Everybody trusts us, guys.
I think like England maybe trusts us, and maybe like France, but not a lot of others.
I don't think you name
Maybe Canada.
maybe.
Those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc., they don't want to screw around with us.
Not love letters
Thank
to
you.
Kim Jong
Former
Un.
President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. I made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one. Just
He
one.
took
A
none?
real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests.
God, what the
Physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health.
What the fuck does that
2 club
mean?
championships, not even
Wherever we
2
may have
club
wood.
championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in
What
as
does
good a
that
shape
mean?
as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was
Not the
White House
doctor
and
name
then I took
drop.
another one.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds.
23rd pounds. He is 6'5" and 223rd pounds is what that guy just said.
This is the grand finale I was talking about earlier.
Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what you're. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag.
What?
Think you can do it?
What?
Think you could
He's
do
a
it?
6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap. 8.
Why are we talking about golf?
You know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
You,
Okay, let's
you
not
know how
act
many
like
rounds-
children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn.
Let's not act like children.
Let's not act like children.
that's
That's all of this is. This is an hour and 40 minutes of 2 children yapping on stage.
Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen, in addition to the speech I made. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be
Oh my
at one of my many
God.
places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent.
His
Because he
political
indicted me
appointment?
Because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make.
I love how they're both saying that they're here because the other guy is bad. And I'm like, why don't you guys both let somebody else do it? Why don't, if you guys are only here because of each other, then if you just both did something else, then neither of you would have to be here. And we could have somebody who's not 80,000 years old being a president.
He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very
That started
close to
with
World
you,
War
though,
III,
bud,
and he's
so-
driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these
Thank you for clarifying where Kim Jong-un is from. I'm sure nobody knew that he was from North Korea.
You want a World War III? him follow and win and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want.
That was not a
This is
sentence.
Article 5. An attack on one is attack on all and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful peace. Because of the people. Not me, it's because of the American people.
We have
They're
wonderful
capable of anything.
peace? He thinks that this country is at peace right now?
The question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said.
Oh my God.
Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers.
I will
They've
never
lost so
settle
many
until
people.
such
It's so
time.
sad if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who
Oh my God.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week. No indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand.
Unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers into a very high level. Yes, I'm sure that's so unfortunate for you, Trump.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back.
Get his ass. God, that sucked.
Yeah.
Do you have any final remarks you would like to say?
I just want to say, fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And I hope that Joe Biden is replaced as the Democratic nominee sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like he's going to give it up willingly.
No, I think only the big man upstairs is going to be able to replace him now. All right. Say goodbye, Arn.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that was fun. I totally don't feel like I aged 30 years watching that. I can't lie. I don't really have anything positive to end this one on. But if you want to see something funny, you can check out some of my other videos that are a lot less serious than this one. Y'all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever. Stay safe mentally and physically. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.